Uh, Everybody okay with the minutes? Anybody review the minutes? Have any changes to minutes? Nope.
No.
Motion to accept the minutes from January 13th.
So moved. Second.
That's done. Next meeting's on the 3rd of March, 5 p.m. Correspondence. The only correspondence of note that I received was from Peter Reich in support of the beach glass application, which is on tonight. I guess Rob might be coming on, I don't know, from End Consultants. Briefing from liaisons. You guys have anything to add?
Real thing is, as you all know, the dot code is on the agenda for work session for our final public hearing. The final drafts are on the website. And
Are they? Yeah?
yeah,
Yeah, they just got posted.
Like today?
well, it's listed Friday, then there were some grammatical corrections. That went up tonight, no substantive corrections.
Okay.
And we will hear it tomorrow.
All right. So tomorrow, it'll be at the work session tomorrow to be posted. All right.
Yeah,
Okay.
hopefully it'll be, it'll be. Hopefully we're gonna finish it. That's what I'm trying to say. But you
Okay.
never know. This is shelter out.
All right. Skylar's now here. Hey, Skylar. I know it's a busy time of year for Boatyard, right?
You'd be surprised, but
Yeah.
that shouldn't be.
Bo, you have anything to opine?
Two things. One, I'll remind everybody that as of January 1st this year, everybody is required to have a motor safety certificate to operate a motor vessel or a jet ski in your waters. If you've taken a course ever in your life and you still have that certificate, that is satisfactory. You don't need to take it again. I recommend you do. If you are currently credentialed by the US Coast Guard, you are exempt.
Expired ones don't count, huh?
Expired ones do not count. Currently credentialed. If you're a member of the Coast Guard Auxiliary or US Power Squadron, you are exempt. For those of us who are in first responder mode, they're exempt as well when operating pursuant to their official duties.
I heard there's a way you can look that up if someone has like a motor safety course from a while, because I don't have a physical card, but I took one. That's,
Yeah, I
I can
think
look
it's-
myself up.
I think it's anything after like 2000, if you took it after the year 2000. So it's a pretty complicated system. You just go to ilostmycard.com. Enter your information.
Sounds like that's my kind of
I swear that is
The
the
draft
actual website. I thought it was a joke, I thought it was a scam or something, and I'm like, no, that is from, on Friday, I got certified finally as a motor safety instructor. So, that's an actual thing from the state. I don't know. I don't know anybody's had to use it yet, but if you have to use it, look it up. Again, my recommendation is if you took it so long ago you don't know where your card is, maybe it's time to take it again. One or two things might have changed. I mean, the water's still wet, so that's but
Right.
to that end, we're gonna be hosting it's an 8-hour course. You can take it in person or online. For those who want to take it in person, police department is hosting it in 2 4-hour sessions. At the end of this month, the end of March, and the end of April as of right now. We'll also be scheduling some additional ones as interest is drummed up or
The one that was advertised just recently filled up like bang.
right away. Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
use the online mooring system to communicate that with individuals.
I got the email, yeah.
Yeah, so I sent that out to roughly 1,600 individuals. And our 20-person class filled up in like 3 minutes. So highly effective method of communication, not a great strategy if you only got 20 seats. But,
Can we preemptively apply for the March course?
You can sign up for the March one, yeah. So if you go to that same website, you can look through all of the courses that are scheduled from here into eternity as long as they've already been scheduled. So yes, the April classes are on there, the March classes are about half full, last I checked, they might be full now. So we're trying to make sure people can get this and get situated.
So you're monitoring that as in real time, so you can know whether to add more dates or whatnot?
Yeah. So the only thing we can't do is add a class that's less than 14 days away. We have to,
Okay.
further than that. But we can do classes like for specific groups, we've done them at the yacht club before, like a Boy Scout group or fill in the blank. If anybody wanted to get a group together, we don't charge for it. There's no fee for us. The state charges a $10 certification fee for people who are over 18. Anybody who's under 18, it's 100% free. So that's out there and available. Like I said, you can do it online at your own pace as well, if you're inclined to do so, or in person, because it's more fun.
Online is not fun.
No, it's-
I'm in now.
Yeah, I tried one online, it was like so goofy and hokey.
Yeah.
6 days.
It's a lot, right? I mean, if you want to sit down and blow out a Saturday doing it, you can do that. But, you come to an in-person session here, you got me and Peter bantering back and forth, and that's usually pretty comical, so. At the end, everybody.
What's the website to register?
I sent it all out, I can share it to everybody, it should be on the town website, should have gone out on, it's a long website like this. But if you Google, New York State Boater Safety Course, you'll get two results that come right up. One is the online version, and then the second is through Department of Parks, and that's how you could find an in-person one if you wanted. But it's, it's register dash and slash New York slash.
Yeah, got it. Okay.
So.
One question, Chris. The yacht club maybe work with you to schedule another one for spring?
They've already reached out to Peter, he called me this afternoon, so yeah, they're already on that.
Who called?
Peter Bilby?
Yeah, a representative from the yacht club spoke with Peter Bill. He's been the lead instructor, because like I said, I just got my official certification now on Friday, so.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, I could follow up with you, he was asking about dates and.
Well, take your time.
Yeah. So then other than that, just a quick update on the workboat project, right? When we last met, we had gone to bid, we had received 2 bids back. And so of those 2 bids, both of them, like I said, were higher than we originally anticipated. The lower of the 2, still higher than we wanted it to be. It's $172,500 delivered.
How much, sir?
$172,500. So, as I mentioned, we are trying to find ways to pay for this when we move forward with it, in a manner that does not impact the annual budget, right, or anybody's specific line item budgets. So the first fund that we're looking at, of course, is the Waterways Fund. We've had a couple of meetings about that already. I have another meeting tomorrow about that. There is currently more than enough money in that fund to pay for the boat outright if we were inclined to do so, and leave a modest balance in there. There is some significant pushback on doing that. So we're trying to develop other strategies whereby we might be able to self-finance the build and then pay back a fund using a set annual amount from the Waterways Fund. Little above my pay grade on all this stuff, so I hope I'm not talking too much out of turn, but I just want to keep you guys in the loop, right? I'm not looking to button hook anybody with anything. So I told you I'd give you more when I have more, and I have more.
Now, did you ever consider just maybe leasing out, or getting a subcontractor to take you around and do what you needed to do when you needed to do it? I mean,
Yep, so that's actually was brought up as part of the conversations that we've been having so far. And so we have obtained some pricing, just generic pricing for like day rates for bars
Right.
and things like
I
that.
mean, I guess I don't know. Obviously, you got to put the markers in and out, and then there's some interim moving of stuff, like a mooring that's not in the right spot or derelict or whatever. So I don't know how much of that there is.
So we're working with, primarily right this second, we've been working with I always get the name wrong, I call it the Capital Grants Planning Committee, but I think it's Capital Planning and Grants.
Grants.
Capital Planning and Grants Committee, which has a couple of town board representatives on it, has a couple department heads on it. DPW department head is on there, Ken Lewis, he's technically the one overseeing this project. So that came up in there, right? Is there some at least similarly cost-effective model to accomplish this for some period of time? So we're looking at and discussing that as a potential option, or at least something to either accept or reject as part of the decision-making process. So that did come up and it is being looked at.
How often do you actually use that vessel?
That's what we're.
Right, yeah, I mean, realistically, it's a short period of time in the spring and a short period of time in the fall, and then some incidentals in between. Not all that often, but, as comparison to a
Right.
recreational boat or something like that. I would point out that the town has spent nothing on a boat for this job for the past more than 25 years. Very, very little. There was a repower involved in there that came out of the DPW line item, for those of you who are very, very astute. And the proposed lifetime of the vessel would be well beyond my career here with the town, right? So for those who want to do life cycle cost analysis or anything like that, we can talk about those numbers, and you can amortize it as much as you want. You can make anything work any way you want it to, of course.
Not to bring up the old dead horse thing, but I think it was Tommy and I were talking that,
I was just gonna bring that whole horse up.
the old horse of the pump out boat.
Yeah.
Could you do a dual purpose boat?
It came up in conversation as well. Actually, one of the town board liaisons who's on that committee brought up the specter, if you will, of a pump out boat.
Specter is a
Not
good word.
specifically in the context of combining these two, although that definitely was the next inference, right?
Right.
Like if we're gonna
You're
go
gonna build
this way,
something-
why not have this capacity as well? Obviously, we can play all kinds of games with that as well and start to game out, okay, well, we have the capacity, now do we want to also have,
Then you got to staff it.
who's doing it?
There are some
Right?
pretty,
Who, what, where, when?
there are some pretty powerful grants for the pump out boat too.
Yep,
Yeah,
so, there's, that's another thing that.
Because we use it for our facility.
Yep.
So I know that it exists for boats.
Yeah, absolutely, so
So maybe you get two birds with one stone,
if you
maybe.
simply add pump out capabilities for this.
Then you'd find a way to pay for it.
Right, exactly,
That
so,
would also probably open up a bigger, broader pool of grant money to put.
well, that's it, yeah, the New York State's got, yeah.
yeah, so there
Yeah, they might
is,
have a problem with it being used for different stuff too.
Well, there's the other hand of that
I
too.
mean, if it doesn't impact the use of it as a pump out boat.
I've never read,
Right.
like,
Oh, yeah.
I've only read the shore-based stuff.
oftentimes grants have a fair amount of flexibility built into them. Then it becomes directly related to the proportionality of the funding, right? So if the primary purpose is for something else, then the amount of funding that you might qualify is reduced by some proportionate amount to how much it would be used for the grant funded activity. Long-winded way of saying, we're looking at all of those things.
Good.
Last time I-
There's no we're not rubber stamping anything and just turning the page and going to the next thing, it's a lot of money, it's a quite literally a lifetime asset, or a once in a lifetime asset, so we don't wanna do anything, just kind of like rip the Band-Aid off and see what happens. That's not the objective here.
Last time I priced out a pump out boat, which was 3 or 4 years ago, it was about 150, so they're in the same ballpark.
Yeah, right, So, I mean, you can shop around a lot. The other bid that we had was like, I think it was $230,000 from another builder. Or you had asked me about, 1-3, right? That was the.
Yeah, that guy,
Right, yeah.
right.
So I actually did reach out to him and he had declined to get involved in this. He's
So
too
busy.
Yep, too
Right.
busy. I didn't know that until after you gave me the name.
Right.
He had, the vessel designer that we'd worked with, I had sent, once we posted the bid, request, I'd sent it to him and said, please share this widely, right? We want everybody to whatever. So he had sent it to him, and then that guy said, I can't do it. There was another one, Aluma Marine, I don't know if you know them, they're headquartered in Yaphank. Not quite sure. Anyway, we went back and forth with them a whole bunch, and they ultimately decided that they didn't want to get involved. So,
Just one point, today, aluminum's 25% more, so I don't know when you got.
oh, we locked in on that for today. Yeah, right. Good point.
Yeah.
And the current boat is still functioning?
As of, well,
I mean,
yes,
right.
yes, yes.
You know, Bo, can I just say ask one? You know, you could use that boat as a push boat and build yourself a small float with a gantry, and then have the functionality and the safety of lifting stuff up. And have the capacity to move things out, slow, but you can do it and it wouldn't cost you, $100,000, it'd cost you probably 12, to $15,000.
Well, I'd like to look at the math a little more on that, because I don't think that's exactly right.
I think,
but-
well, I know a float would be maybe $8,000 to $10,000, and a rig on top of it, and then maybe some kind of, a battery and a 12-volt winch.
Sure, so
Yeah,
It's like a
there's,
barge.
there's a lot of,
Like a small barge, but a little barge, like a wooden float barge.
there's a lot of ways that we could
So you
We
have
can
something.
jars like that.
do something, right, that would be, to satisfy the perceived needs of all of the various individuals who think that they understand what's going on.
No, and Mark used to hire me to do that too.
And that's fine, and I'm happy to discuss any of those things and point out where those things fit in to the boat that we designed specifically, right down literally to the size of the individuals who will be primarily working on it, right? Like, we tried to go very specific on everything. So I'm happy to discuss any of those individual things. This isn't obviously the forum for that. If anybody has specific questions, I can share the design specs with you if you want, about what they went out. So anyway, I just want to give you guys an update on that.
Right. Thanks, Bo. I don't have anything to add for briefing, so first application is beach glass. I see Rob Herman is on there. Hi, Rob.
Hey, how are you guys?
Good. How are you?
We also have the owner, Jack Morgani, here.
Oh, hi. How are you? Let's see. Well, I just had a couple of questions on it. What I was looking at online didn't have a lot of the measurements that would be helpful just in trying to determine whether the dock is conforming or non-conforming. I think it's pretty clear it's non-conforming. If nothing else, the 15% rule looks like it goes way past that. I mean, trying to do rough measurements, it looks like mean low water to the end of the dock is about 55 feet. And 15% of the distance would give you a dock about 33 feet. I don't know what the distance, there's no distance from the dock to the property lines on either side. So it looks like it's enough, but it would, in the future, it would just be helpful to have those measurements on there for applications like this, just to determine whether.
So just to give you a little background, I mean, one reason we didn't get too deep into that is the fixed dock itself which there's no changes proposed to, predates at least 1974, because you can see it on the DEC's tidal wetlands maps. We've looked back, there's some little bit of permit history from the town, some piles or something that were placed, but nothing that's terribly helpful. Looking for the two floats that are there now, which are positioned perpendicular to the fixed dock, first appear in online aerial images at some point between 1994 and 2001. And then there's a couple shots between '01 and '07 where you can see there's, they're there, but they're, kind of tied to the side or something. And then in the 2007 aerial, this is just all stuff that's readily available either on the Suffolk County GIS viewer and/or Google Earth. But basically the dock as it looks today from a drone, is, you can see that in 2007. Jack and his wife purchased the property in 2016, so they've just kind of been using the dock as it was when they bought it for, almost 10 years. So the proposal here is actually really reduces the existing, well, footprint, I guess, overall footprint, if you will, of the dock by eliminating the two 5x19 and 6x20 floats that are there and extend perpendicularly off the fixed dock, and then replacing those just with the one single proposed float, which is the 6x20 float that would now be alongside the fixed dock and inside the existing, navigational encroachment, if you will, of the existing fixed dock. The DEC had asked us to tweak it a little bit to make sure that it was actually within the 25% rule that the state and the federal government go by. I mean, this, again, like speaking to the town's requirements, is really nothing, there's nothing we can do about the dock that's there. The dock is there. The proposal here, and if you want to know more about it, Jack can give you a little more, personal context as the property owner. But basically, as I said, it eliminates two floats that have been there for, again, from what we can figure out, at least 25 years, gets rid of those and puts just one float alongside the existing fixed dock. So the overall footprint of the waterway in front of Jack's house is less. The encroachment is no more. Really shouldn't have any impact on anybody. From our perspective, it's really a pretty simple and beneficial application, we think, as far as the town should be concerned. The other option is just to leave it, the way it is, I guess. But this creates a better use for Jack, and I think it creates a smaller footprint on the waterway.
I think we're under the existing code, and 5312 permits you to, for a non-conforming dock, to make changes, alter it, modify the dock, as long as, what you end up with is more or less non-conforming. So
Right.
The question, as far as I'm concerned, for the committee is whether by reducing the square footage of your floats by about 50%, actually more than 50%, whether that's, would be considered significantly lessening the nonconformity. I don't see any other issues with it. Go around and see if anyone else spotted anything else. It's an issue. Anybody see anything else with this?
Just curious, there's a pile on the, I guess, western side. Would that pile be removed? I mean, I agree, think it's, helps with the conformity issue by reducing it down to one float, but there's a pile, I guess it'd be to the southwest of the dock there. I'm showing that in a photograph.
Jack, do you know what pile they're
There's
asking
a
about?
photograph in
Yeah,
this
this-
packet here.
You're looking out the,
Yeah, that-
you're looking down the dock, it's on the left-hand
On
side.
the left-hand side.
It's a dolphin, the freestanding one, I think is the one.
That pile's used.
Is that used?
Yes.
It's just not on the.
I mean, there's no boat there, but it's used.
Oh, it is. Oh, okay.
I just don't think it's on the survey.
It doesn't look like it is.
Oh,
Yeah, it may not be on the survey, that's true. But neither are the piles that hold the
See it
floats
on
on the
the-
survey.
They're piling, drawn on the,
Maybe not, sorry, on the smaller one, on this one.
Oh, on that one, maybe,
There,
okay.
okay.
Yeah, I don't see
not-
that
you're right, they're
pile.
not.
No, they're both on the
this
survey.
But anyway, I mean, they would be moved inboard by a lot, I would say.
No, because I don't see it on this top survey, this little survey.
Yeah, it's not, I don't think it's on,
No, it's not on the
I
survey.
don't think it's on, it was being removed or not.
it's not on the big one yet.
Do you utilize, did you utilize that piling on the, I guess it's the south?
West side, yeah. It's utilized for a boat that's on the side there. And we use like, tie off, keep it from the spring, off the spring line to keep it off the dock.
Yeah, I see it now. Sorry.
I guess that's staying then, that's okay.
Yeah, that's inside, it's inboard of on the landward side of the L, correct?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, that's the one,
Yeah.
yep, yep,
Yeah, so there's no proposal to remove that.
okay.
There is Jack, I believe it's accurate to say there's a proposal to remove the outside piles associated with the two floats that are being removed, correct?
Yes.
Yes, yeah, okay.
Are you getting one new float or
Yeah,
using one of these?
construction.
These are going out?
Yes.
Okay, and what type of construction are you gonna do on that? What type of construction? Is it gonna be wood with floats, with
Yeah.
the black tank?
Yeah, I was working with a dock builder.
Okay.
Little dock builder, and it was gonna be wood construction with the black plastic. Tubs. Tubs.
Okay.
You else have any questions? So the issue is whether by removing more than half of the float area, whether it's considered, committee considers it to be significant reduction in nonconformity. Al? Yes?
Yeah, I think so, absolutely.
I'm gonna abstain because I built Mr. Morgani's house.
I think it's a significant reduction, yeah. It cuts the
A definite
footprint.
reduction, yes, yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm happy with it.
So we got,
Mark? Oh,
you're
Mark's
on mute.
Mute.
I think that was a thumbs up, Mark.
Thanks, Mark. All right, so we got,
I'm good. I'm good. I got it.
There he is.
All right.
Hey, Mark.
we got 6-1, 6-4, and 1 abstain in favor. Thanks.
Thank you, guys.
The new float is gonna be tied up against.
It looks like the new one, float's running perpendicular,
Yeah.
parallel with the
The
dock.
dock.
Yeah, it's a nicer setup. Old business, we still haven't gotten a DEC permit on Kramer. It's bizarre. It's been, I don't know. Like, it's the only one I remember going in as an emergency in a long time, and there's like no response for months. Really?
I texted Amber on Friday.
Yeah. Okay.
Welcome to the DEC.
Yeah. Well, they're understaffed and overworked. So other business is regarding a pound trap that has been proposed by Sawyer Clark. Hi, Sawyer. Did you want to give us an idea of what you had in mind?
So I don't really have the paperwork with me. What I'm proposing is something along the lines that Southampton Town has in place. That they, the DEC does not have any regulation on town waters, on the fisheries that happen within town waters. They don't have any say on it. But Southampton Town has something in place that town craft is able to be installed in permitted areas up until a certain date, which, we can discuss on. I'm not exactly sure of their date. I'm pretty sure it's July 1st or June 15th. I don't know the exact date of it. And then everything is removed from the trap, anything in the water, and then it is able to be installed again after Labor Day. And which, that can be discussed on whatever time, because the idea is so that it doesn't interfere with any kind of boat activity in the waters around.
So I couldn't find anything in our chapters that.
No, and that's why I kind of brought it up, because there's nothing that I saw, where I talked to Bo actually a while ago about it, and there was one for sale, and I kind of just wanted to go discuss, because I fish them in Conic Bay, and that is DEC regulated. And I have certain permitted sites, and I'm allowed to fish them year round, no matter, as long as it's updated. So I just kind of wanted to run it by you guys and what you guys think, and I think I wrote, I don't know if there's a map on there or not of Coffs Harbor, and I kind of just highlighted the areas-ish, and most of them, where those sites would be, they would be within pretty much 300 to 400 feet off the beach to the beach. So it'd be within, the one by Mashonack, it'd be on the inside of the mooring fields that's along there. And that's kind of,
Jessica, do we have that? We could-
Inside Coppell's Harbor, that's where you're looking at?
yeah.
That's what the-
So maybe you know more about this. I heard that you can't fish within like 1,000 feet of those things. Is that a rule that you know?
What it is you're not allowed to put another pound trap within 1,000 feet.
So could the other fishermen operate within the proximity of that legally?
With any other fishery other than.
Pound trap.
Okay, and I'm not knowledgeable with this, so I'm not trying to pretend I am.
No, that's 100% right. So that's all like permits outside of, in Conic Bay, are written that you cannot install another pound trap within 1,000 feet down the beach of that.
And it's only these pound traps,
Correct.
nothing, okay.
And that's,
To be clear, that is a state regulation related to the issuance of an active permit.
I'm just trying to understand this, because I'm
It would-
really.
There is no regulation at all currently
In town.
in town. I confirmed with the DEC today, there is no permit required whatsoever on behalf of the state, food fish being the
Yeah.
exception, because you have to collect the food, like that's separate, right?
The
There's
only,
no permit for the actual trap itself.
the only thing that needs to be on it is a Coast Guard light, which, any kind of light that's on the water is supposed to be registered. So any kind of dock light is supposed to be registered with the Coast Guard. So that's just, parameters of that.
I thought over the years, I thought I had seen one of these off of Shelter Island someplace. I mean,
Yes,
Over by,
there is. I mean, I have
What's
a
that?
site in Smith's Cove, and then my uncle has sites on the outside of Mashonack, going to the south.
okay.
But that's not within town waters, that's state waters.
there used to be one off of Shorewood,
Right.
before where Gars is,
Right,
Yep.
right. That's the one I remember seeing, yeah.
Yeah, that was the best man crap.
Sawyer, without being picky, what's that little white dot off of my house?
So
That's what the equipment gets dumped.
All the bycatch gets thrown over there.
Is that just an accident or you
There's
planning on?
one.
Yeah.
That's the next bad guy.
Yep.
overspray.
That was Norma trying to do the best she could, highlighting.
When you say it'd be,
This is sounding really great. What's a pound trap?
So pound trap is, it's pretty much pools in the water, and it's designed as a funnel pretty much. So it's a fence that runs off the beach, perpendicular to the beach.
Oh, those things.
Yes.
Good.
Yep.
Again, things that we try not to crash into the beaches in Orient, yeah.
We've seen that.
Yeah. Right.
I've run into a couple.
Yeah.
So,
Sawyer, I've been rowing around the one that was by Nichols Point.
Yep.
I don't know if that was your family's or not, but watched it being emptied one time. What kind of fish or marine life are you planning on keeping, and what are you planning on throwing back? Because when I was there, they were sort of sorting it out.
Right. So that's the beauty of a pound trap is everything's alive other than what is killed by natural selection of birds killing and whatever, the fish inside that are trapped there. So, there's a lot of bluefish, there's a lot of porgies that come into the bay, weakfish, fluke, striped bass, pretty much every species goes in there and you sort of throw them. So it's kind of the nice thing about it is everything's still alive. You only kill what you kill or is, naturally selected to kill by the environment.
and you keep all those different species, you utilize all those?
Correct, as long as they're of size. Yep.
There were some horseshoe crabs, and there were some skates and some sand sharks that I saw being pulled out too.
Correct. Yep.
Do
Those
you-
are
do-
also.
Do you keep those, or do you throw those back?
Nope, we keep those. Correct. Yep. Yep.
So the only regulation I saw in the DEC on this whole topic was with winter flounder, and it was the seasonal issue. I mean,
That's only the regulations on every other fishery of, we're only allowed a certain amount. That's kind of the laws of how the DEC regulates everything. Then in that regards, the DEC does have the regulation to say, you're only allowed to keep 500 pounds of bluefish, you're only allowed to keep 600 pounds of porgies. And they come up with those quotas at the beginning of the year, and that changes year to year, or if we're close to filling the quota for the full year with the state, and then they can adjust that they see need be.
so it's like a 6-week period during the summer when you can't take winter flounder. Do you have to shut this down to avoid taking winter flounder during that period? Or?
There's not enough winter flounder for us to worry about that. In the past,
They're misguided ones.
in the past 10 years that I've fished, however many years, 10 years, I guess it's now, fishing pound traps, I think I've caught enough for about 10 of my dinners. So it's not really, that's not one of the main concerns.
But the fish is also alive, so it's not retained, so it's thrown
Correct.
back over alive.
That's what the whole quotas, I mean, there's plenty of times that I go up to traps and I have well over the quotas and you let a fish swim right away. And there's no harm to them.
Just curious, and reading through this stuff, I've never seen this before, a fyke, F-Y-K-E?
That's another,
Trap, right?
another pound, it's another trap. It's the same design and that is, pretty much, it's the same exact thing, just without the poles.
We use a hoop, a
Correct.
hoop box at the end versus a box at the
Correct.
end
Yeah.
of the pound trap.
The poles those are permanently staked in there, or no?
They're removed.
So you remove them every year?
Yeah, at the time, so that's I have a barge that I drive them in with a hydraulic hammer, and then the barge also has a puller. So like normally at my other sites, I fish. I start driving depending on the weather, but in March or April, and I start fishing by the second week in April, and a lot of the years I fish right until almost Christmas, and then at that point I remove all the netting and then remove the poles.
So what?
Perfect, you could do the town.
There you go.
It's a subcontractor you're looking for.
So they're not there during the summer season?
That's the idea. So that's the main concern that I understand is boaters, and interfering with their day-to-day in Coffins Harbor.
Yeah, I mean, that's,
Something that I don't
It's like
want
they wouldn't
to
harm you
involve
if you're
in.
anybody.
yeah, the one area you had circled inside,
Yeah.
inside of Cockles, you know, is on a summer weekend, there's, 50, 60 boats in there.
Well, but also.
You can throw them back, it's live, just throw those boats back.
To the south there. If
There's
that
less room,
is
there'll be less
where
boats.
It's deep enough that
That's true.
it would be
Is that what we want?
the boats would be outside of the anchoring zone where it's mapped out, with the moorings. The circle goes outside of where it actually is going, would be. They're just more of a general area just to kind of get your guys' opinion on how you feel of where they're located.
Could you go over the dates again? Because you said you put them in April and you pull them out at Christmas?
Well, that's for the ones in Conic Bay. This one, we would remove,
So when would you put it in?
around beginning of March.
Bring your March, you take it out, end of June, right? Or something like
Middle to end of June, and then replace it in the fall after Labor Day.
that. So it's
And then
after-
fish it until the fish are done or it's time to
So it's out of the recreational boating
season.
period.
Correct.
Does any part of this hit the beach at all? Toll
Yes.
lines, if they do?
Yep. So it goes to we drive normally just below the high tide mark.
So it will be all on town property, none on private land.
Not that one.
Well,
That, the location there in
Shaman?
Sunjuk would technically fall on privately owned bottoms for a certain portion of distance out from the shore. This is the same scenario that the other permitted pound traps deal with on the outside waters, over by Nichols Point, the one by Gibson, around on the inside there by Major's Harbor. That's right. Anything that's off of Mashamek is originating on privately owned land. It's owned by the Nature Conservancy.
How far out do they own?
It's
As a horse walks.
as deep as a horse could walk.
That's what.
The tax maps show it like, I don't know, maybe 100 feet out, somewhere, it depends.
It depends on where it is, because there's certain areas in where the circle is, that it actually drops off. They could only, it would only be considered probably 20 feet off the beach. But
Regardless, there's
regardless, it
still
it would land on, if we put it there, it would land on Nature Conservancy property.
So you would need their permission as well.
I don't really know how that exactly works, because pound traps, for
Wanted to
the
ask
ones on the
that.
outside, speaking with some of the people down at Nature Conservancy, the pound traps are so grandfathered in that they did not really need. It kind of depends on the board that's down there, and if they.
There is no board, is there?
That's not more than one.
So there's nobody to ask.
But correct, so that was the last that I ever heard of it, was when the board could be concerned about it, and they were not concerned about it.
They don't exist. It's interesting.
So the fence actually does go onto the beach then? I mean, I was under the impression
Below the
that
hut.
they actually sort of would start in sort of shallow water.
Correct. So it only goes to the high tide mark.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't go up past that.
Okay.
That's the idea is that you try to stay, and in certain places like one of my pound traps off of North Haven, I'm 300 feet off the beach. So I fish the outside edge, and it drops off into 20-something feet of water that I fish into.
so you're looking to do one or two?
One, pretty much, yeah. That is obviously a trial period. There's no regulations on it. It was just more so of something to bring up and move forward with trying to do so, or, get everybody's opinion on what we're looking at.
Can I, in full disclosure, I could in fact, as a commercial food fish holders, one day benefit from one of these things. Not in the market to go doing that now, but I think I should say that. Just so it doesn't come back and bite me later. Before, in the past, I have come before the town board with issues that the baymen are concerned with. I haven't discussed this with any of the baymen yet. I haven't actually even discussed it with you. So what I say tonight is pretty much just offhand what I think of it right here, nobody else's words but mine. Having said that, I'm not against it. I think there should be, maybe we should look at, maybe finding 8, 10, 12 sites around town waters where this could be done. And that would allow everyone with the food fish license an opportunity to obtain a space, a site. I'm not against it. I think personally, it's a good idea. It's a good way for the Baymen to be able to do something where we've lost so much bottomland and so much else. I think this is a good thing to discuss. I'm trying to think back on the email that I sent to you. There was, what was the other things in there? The main thing was making it fair and finding sites so that everybody could get an opportunity, because if one guy asks, everybody else is gonna ask. There may be some concern as to, like there's maybe repairing moorings would most likely be a problem if you were to put a trap in certain locations, but that's easily moved 100 feet. It's not drastic.
Can we pull up that circle and see where like the end of Burns Road?
The other issue is that Mashomick is the proverbial can of worms in the array. But there's no reason the town couldn't do something on its own bottomland.
Can we zoom in on that?
It's more of a broad circle, it's.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, but it gives you an idea where the moorings are, and then.
Correct.
The moorings are in the middle.
I would, if it was up to me, there is a hole off of Pierce's Point to the north, just slightly to the northwest. That would be one of the sites on where that dock is. Either you would most likely fish it to the north of there, so that it does not interfere with the moorings off of Burns Road, or interfere with the dockage there. That is also out of the way of the navigational channel to Cox Harbor. And then it would be on to the other side towards Buttermill Island there. Runs out to another shoal hole, and that would be on the inside of the navigational channel as well.
Is there a certain depth you need for the box end of these things?
No, one of my traps, it runs 300, it's at 350 liters, 400 feet off of the beach, and it only draws at low water by 6 foot.
Oh, okay.
So it just depends on where the fish are going. Fish go into 6 inches of water. They don't really care.
Hey, have you mentioned this to the Friends of Cockles Harbor? They seem to have a lot to say about what goes on in there. They're worried about the center of town and what, septic systems up there. You might want to reach out to those guys, And would there be a public hearing on something like this? Do you know if would this require a change in code to the town, or is it just a permit that the town can give, or what would you like to see? As a board here, Tommy, what do you think?
I think it actually would probably
change the code to do it, and then you have a public hearing, or is it just a permit that
I think that probably what would happen is you'd have to come up with some proposed locations, and then it would probably mean an amendment to, the only thing we have is 108, chapter 108, which is the shellfish ordinance. And that was recently amended with a bunch of different stuff in there. And I don't know whether it would fall into there.
I think an amendment, if it were to go the amendment route, would likely go into Waterways code. That would be my guess. If it just be permitted, like a new chapter would be permitted uses of waterways or something of that nature. Who knows? I mean, if you're going amending code, we've seen how easy that is. you know, he created his new chapter altogether if he needed to. I mean, there's any, the
I mean,
options are limitless with how.
I would imagine if you issue a permit, there's gotta be some sort of a
Yeah,
Well,
code
there's,
that corresponds to said permit.
yes.
I mean, just for the record, I certainly have no objections to this, but, I mean, I've heard talk about these going into privately owned bottoms, and if the town has to issue a permit to install this on somebody else's property, that's not gonna be okay. So,
No, that's why I say I think that if there was an application that wasn't on Mashamik's bottom land would proceed, but then that brings into question, should there be some sort of an agreement between the town and Mashamik to police or, I don't know whether police is the right word, but their bottom land to, you know,
you have to get their
Monitor.
monitoring somehow.
monitor.
Yeah, the town can't go and
I
approve
guess
putting
we
something
have,
on
we
Mashamik
have the
land.
right to control, so to speak, the waterways above the bottom land.
100%.
Yeah, navigation.
It's just a question of the actual bottom land itself.
And they patrol that on their own. They call us when there's issues related.
Yeah, I don't know whether there's a town agreement that could be seeked to fix that worm problem, or I don't know.
Maybe more difficult now with the way the structure is over there.
Yeah, that's, I mean, that was one of my other thoughts was this, you know, is there a way to lease it for $1 for 10 years, or is there, you know,
Put a license or something.
I don't know what the
You don't go through.
permission granted, so to speak, you know?
Yeah, the Nature Conservancy has their headquarters in New York City. I actually know the CEO. So you talk to that office, which I can help with.
I mean, is there a way to get permission granted?
Those things changed, Tommy, no doubt about it, because Sag Harbor changed the jurisdiction of the outside of the breakwater. They've done things. The county took the aquaculture law, took over the bottom from the state.
Yep.
So there is precedence for that.
Yeah. Now, did Sag Harbor gain the bottom land as well as the waterways? Do you know that?
I know, I think they took over the navigation law on that.
They just.
If they're licensing moorings there, they must have.
No, they only, yeah, they took over the navigation law.
They just exerted their 1,500-foot home rule.
That's that part. But the county did, with the aquaculture program, did get the bottom land transferred to the county of the state. That's how they do that program. Which is possible. And then grants are sold all the time. I mean, you know, anything on a tax map can be bought and sold.
I swear, you got this done this year, 2025?
I was looking. Since there was nothing in place of any kind of laws regulating it.
Yeah.
Well, if you were to put in a poll, there is a law for that. Well, you're telling me that I can go in and put a pole in anywhere in the town waters right now?
If you're fishing,
What's the purpose of the pole?
If I wanted to like use it as a mooring, or if I wanted to use it as a
Because
put up a kite.
Then it's regulated.
Well, if he puts it, if I want to put it on a fish trap, you're saying that I can put it in?
It's not regulated.
It's not, has no regulations.
I totally disagree with you on that. I'm totally disagree. If you
Find me
put
the
a pole in,
code, find me the code.
if you put in a pole, if you put in, so you're saying that I can put in a pole, and not even who cares what the purpose is? Doesn't matter. Are you telling me that I can put in 12 poles right
Purpose,
now?
if you'll let me answer your question, the purpose dictates whether or not it's a permit required scenario. So if you're putting a pole in, right, for use as a mooring, it immediately falls under a stake under the mooring code. If you're putting a pole in for the purposes of docking, it becomes a dock-related pole, and then becomes subject to those regulations. If it's not regulated otherwise, in other words, like something like this, trust me, I looked, because I'm like, okay, what are we gonna permit it under if you wanna issue a permit? Right?
It has its own entity.
It's its own thing, right? So as long as it's.
I disagree with you, but I understand that there's no
Right.
rule for it.
Right.
But I disagree. But I'll say, but.
And I'm not a lawyer, so I'd be happy for a lawyer to weigh in on it and say, hey, this is what it is, you know? In the near term, right, if one were to want to try to move this forward in some way, right? It seems to me, and I had emailed you this, right, that after consulting with the town attorney or whoever is being the town attorney right now, right? A special permit type scenario could be considered in, wow, there's a legislative effort begun, right? This has been used before for other types of waterborne
Absolutely.
things
Yep, okay.
that did not fit into the code in a specific way. But the Waterways Committee and or the town board, in their infinite wisdom, felt that there was some compelling reason to allow it despite the lack of code, excuse me,
Everybody's.
on some sort of limited basis for purposes of piloting it, to see other interests, whatever it happens to be. So this has happened before, there's at least in theory, a method that could be used as a template, perhaps, if there was interest in even going that far. It doesn't have to immediately be a legislative, effort.
Okay.
Separate question. What will be the impact on sort of juvenile fish? I mean, do you have a sort of like a net size in your net or like what would be the impact, I guess?
So that's all the same idea, that everything that is in there is still alive. So anything that's small is picked out and going over and swims away. That's like the beauty of pound trout fishery, is it's the cleanest fishery that there is. And so that would be the other impact of any kind of dead matter that would be from the pound trap that would impact any kind of homes or such in the area, which this fishery has probably the least amount of that. So any kind of fish we go through, I pick, depending on how clean it is, normally I pick with a little scoop net, and I only pick a couple fish at a time. You throw them in the boat and you know pretty much exactly what size that they are.
But I mean, in terms of like, if they're all packed into that, what do you call it, the box or whatever area?
Correct.
Then you got the big fish with the small fish, or the big fish eating the small fish?
At some points, yes. Yep. It's same matter as if they're swimming in the harbor. The harbor is a very small area. If that's why bluefish come in so hard, they're a pelagic fish that is not actually supposed to be in, marsh areas, and they come in here just to feed. So it's that same.
But, it seems like we'd want to do something eventually, if we're going to deal with it, along the lines of what Southampton did, what they would send me. Because, I mean, they address all these issues, the size of the mesh and the net, the season, we don't want non-residents coming in.
Correct.
It's setting up a trap
Yep.
500 feet above yours.
Yep.
So I guess this would be a good template. But where to take it from here, I guess the liaisons could talk to the rest of the town board and see if there's any interest.
The interim town attorney, involved.
If there's any interest in trying to do something with a special permit and then pursue some legislation or
Trial period.
trial period.
Let's see, I mean.
We have a special permit.
So how many other guys, resident fishermen of Shelter Island, do you think might be interested in something like this?
There's my uncle and two cousins. They're both pound trap fishermen, and then John Petula. So what is that, five of us that are pound trap fishermen.
Currently fishing.
Potentially there's other food fish.
Correct. There's
Could be interested.
maybe there's a dozen or 10 total residents that are food fish holders.
I see Bert putting these all around the island.
But as soon
Maybe
as
if I could rent them out to boats.
I can just pull it.
But it's only, these are only, what the town can regulate is within Coffs Harbor and West Neck Harbor are the only two, and I guess, Yering Harbor, but, that's, that would be more of, difficulty with all the dockage and such, as West Neck Harbor would be very difficult for, just how it is set up. That it would impact a lot more, other recreational vessels.
Do you think-
And homes.
You think you'd be flexible on the time period of when you wouldn't be out? I mean, I think the July 1st pull out, I mean, a lot of people start doing stuff in June,
More than July
you
weekend.
know? I mean, could you, or maybe like even in the trial period, maybe you'd like focus on the fall. Say, maybe not focus on the springtime one. You know?
That's an option. I have to look at what the date is for Southampton. I don't know exactly what the date is. The larger impact on me
It says,
for the fisheries is, it most likely will be done before that July 1st period because, mammal life comes back in and, the fall impact is.
Talking about seals?
Correct. So that's more the fall fishery, for the bay is non-existent anymore in the past 3 years. This next upcoming year, I probably plan on fishing only until June 15th or so, and then moving the traps.
yeah, Southampton is no
Labor Day.
traps in the water between June 30th and Labor Day. But even the month of June, inside Cockles, where that one area that you were, I mean, they're loaded with boats from Memorial Day. That whole month of June is pretty busy over there.
Correct, but we fish gill nets during that same period of time and just on the inside of all the mooring fields and, we don't really have any kind of impact on those vessels. Obviously, it's gonna be a new, attraction per se for other, resident, recreational, vessels to go look at and kind of see. And obviously, that's why I brought it all up, just to kind of talk about it and see where to go from here.
So the Southampton code is chapter A340. I'll forward this to you. I have it, and then if you can, maybe just an outline based on this of what you're looking for, give us an idea, like you said tonight, how many people might be involved and firmer dates, and you can take it from there.
We're gonna wait, I guess we need some sort of.
Proposal.
We'll get a proposal
From me, I'll change up the, even if and I'll just say, the thing is I am flexible on the dates. It's really the month of May, the end of April and month of May that,
It's gonna be the most productive.
that's the most productive for paddle traps. In recent times, obviously, October and November used to be, the way better than those, but, that's.
Everything changes. Yeah.
Correct.
Sorry, who was the one that your boat night on the Orient Point Beach?
So those are, the Rogers, of Greenport, I can't think of the name of it, East Marion.
And then there's one on the East Marion side up in the top of Harbor.
Correct, they used to fish, I think 7 sites, and they have one up in the Southwold Harbor, Southwold Bay too. Correct.
I mean, there's a day, no wind, down current, and, I had to tie up to it.
Yep.
That's some more.
That's.
Very helpful, actually.
Yeah, that's the way they used to.
Let me tell you,
Yeah.
catch a lot of those.
Yeah.
And concurrently, maybe the town board can just sort of talk about this, and just see if there's any, what the disposition is of everybody.
All right, well, that covers everything on the agenda. Anybody else have anything else?
Yeah, I came to, for wave, so I went to the town board for wave, I went to the town board the other day and talked about, mooring fees. And, some of you were not on the committee when, Jerry and BJ, increased the fees. And I know some of you that were on it were against it. right? And so you've got a new town board, and so maybe we could think about redoing those fees a little bit or adjusting them. And so I had my own ideas, which was, I'll go quickly, make a different, and make a new category, because you could do that very easily with your online thing. Have riparian mooring and private mooring, have them be a separate kind of category. So I would leave riparian moorings the same, where they are right now. We can go into that. People that hold private moorings, I would give them, that would be reduced. And I would say that would be like at least 10% less of where they are now. Rental moorings, I would leave the same. And separate the language of rental and commercial. Don't use commercial mooring as a rental mooring. Anything that is registered to be rented out is rental. And commercial, I would use that term for somebody who is either a bayman or in the marine industry who uses their mooring in that line of work for their livelihood. And those are the people who I'm really more concerned about, me and Sawyer, Tom, and others who are in the town who have multiple boats. And the reason, and it's just like, if you're a landscaper, you might have 6, 7 trucks, and you might only be 2 or 3 guys, but it's like a place to park. And so instead of, shuffling through, trailers or whatever, and you just have a lot of equipment, it just happens, that's what you have. You have a skiff, you got another boat for this kind of fishery, this kind of working. And where it happened with the fees, it's, we're getting pounded. So I would reduce, that significantly, at least 35%. And then also, if you had a holding mooring, and that means you're in the commercial world of business, and reduce that. And then, so this is something to think about for, I know they're sending out the bills right now for this year, can't change it. But you could talk about it the next few months, so that next year, when you send out the bills. Now, you don't have to. You just get the money, you get the money for your boat.
I don't see the bill.
But anyway, whoever sends the bills out, they can do it. So I hope you could put that on your agenda for.
Are you gonna send us a schedule of?
I will, I'll send you the schedule. I will. I'll make it. And then the other thing I had on my mind, and I know you want to leave, but I'm not going to let you. But it's something like carbon credits for people who want to do something that might be non-conforming with the dock or mooring, whatever. So, carbon credits are supposed to work where if you ship something UPS, you check a box and.
Air rights, you really want to compare it to air rights.
Yeah,
for
and
building.
the same thing with, the town does it where, I know with like certain pieces of property, they'll change out, you can switch,
Trade off use of one piece of property for another.
yeah, there you go. So I was just
Relevant.
wondering if the town would do that for, say, dock owners, if they wanted to do something with their dock, and then in exchange, they could do something with aquaculture, right? Or something that would benefit the environment. They could invest with Cornell to do spout on shell, or they could set up their own little reef somewhere. So, because there's a lot of people now, there's pressure on around the island. People are becoming more wealthy around here. They're not having little boats. They got little bigger boats. They need a little bit more water under their docks. And that's part of the things that you're going to see. They're going to want to dredge, like Al, luckily enough, he had a place to keep his boat and dock, and maybe you could, be an example. So just an idea, throw it out there, I think you'll, and then, that's it.
Thanks, Bert.
All right?
Thanks, Bert.
Just want to note real quick, I actually sent you a text because I just came to realize that all those mooring fees and pulley line stuff is all due. When I first got my moorings and pulleys and stuff like that, I had spread out. The time that I acquired the said permit was spread out throughout the year. Now, I owe the town $600 on one date. I'm wondering if that can't be something that can be checked as well, Whether, versus where, November I owed them this much, then I owed some over here. Now it's all one big whack.
It used to be nice.
It used to be, more, it used to be more,
3 years from now.
more, I don't know what the word is, more affordable, so to speak, it wasn't such a big hit at one time. That might be something to explore too, if we're
I
gonna,
mean, get it reduced to begin with, that'd be even
that,
better.
that first, but also if we go back and
Do like a rolling thing over 3 years. It's good for 3 years. What an idea.
Yeah.
Well, that'd be good.
I was gonna provide financing.
BJ and Jerry, remember those names.
The fees have gotten really inequitable. We reviewed a dock application tonight and we reviewed one at a last meeting. The last meeting had the fees for both of those projects are $5,000, okay? The one, we reviewed a commercial dock replacement, and something that's very new in our application process is the cost, which kind of surprised me. It's like, why are we doing this? But the interesting thing about it is that at our last meeting, we had an application for a $200,000 project. It had a $5,000 fee, right? Permit fee. Tonight, we had an application for a $12,000 project. Guess how much the fee is? $5,000.
You kidding me?
No,
That's out of control.
right, bingo. I rest my case. And we've asked you to look at these, and I know that you guys spend a lot of time doing a lot of different things. You have so much to do. But sometimes haste makes waste is what my mother used to say. It's just, you put something through and it applies to everybody. There's no scale, there's no sliding scale, it's.
That's the Waterways Management Advisory Committee.
That's what?
But as this committee, it would be up to you to actually put together a complete, thoughtful proposal that the town board can have.
We did that a year ago.
When everything got changed,
yeah.
we did put out what we thought.
And it was thrown out.
Well,
That was the other two guys, yeah, right. Those are the other guys. Would you like us to do it again? We'll do it again.
You can dig up the old proposal.
Yeah,
and send it again.
new head honchos,
Alright.
front, maybe it's
Or
not.
we can't, but for to come up with all the stuff.
Yeah, no, we're not asking that. And we did come up with it. Well, I guess we'll just kind of say maybe, when we do, maybe listen to it when we make a
You
suggestion.
have that old proposal, you think, with those old numbers? I don't even know whether
Al has it.
I looked for it and I can't find it, but I'm sure.
I don't think I was on the committee then, I came after that.
I'm sure it's around it.
Proposal that was the town.
That we proposed to the town was.
As a revert, yeah,
fees,
because- right.
because we were asked. I mean, we don't set fees, we can't set fees. We were asked, and we did put something together. We could do it again. I mean, and do you agree? I mean, that there should be.
Reserve judgment.
Okay, well, yeah, something you have to, but do you agree that the things sound inequitable right now? I mean,
You have to have something.
well, I'm good. I just gave you an example.
I just got my lawyer bill
Okay.
for Terry Barber. Yeah. And you got yours too. I got mine, you got yours.
Everybody
You
got.
you mean the yacht club bill?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's different that's worse than most of the.
Yeah, you guys got it easy.
I don't want one of those.
I've been, on any business, or was this done?
I think that's done.
Yeah, I had somebody asking me about keeping a, keeping a boat, like a boat at the beach, I think at Wade's, and they were asking about the number of permits to keep a I think it was multiple there on the beach. And so I was just wondering, is that part of our mandate? Or who basically, what committee handles that, sort of like the beach, the landings and stuff like
Yeah,
that? So you
that's-
handle that with
I inherited it.
and no other committee, like that wouldn't necessarily be our jurisdiction kind of a thing.
What would you like to do? Do you want it now?
I'm just wondering, who I can direct them to.
Well,
So they talk to you and that's it. There's no.
Yeah, so if there was, I don't know how the locations were structured to begin with, right? I really don't. It seems exceptionally arbitrary to me, but maybe there was some method to the madness. So when I inherited overseeing that program, we just kept everything exactly the same. We've added one site because somebody came to us and said, can I pay to keep a boat here? And we said, yeah, sure, why not? Like, why not? So there's, I don't know if there was ever any criteria. Happy to develop some criteria for sort of doling things out. I think at the time, it was probably a little bit of, you could put like 4 or 5 in there and still have enough room for people to sunbathe or do whatever.
Right.
Probably should be looked at some point if there's an issue. I'm not super aware of a lot of issues related to conflicting use.
Okay.
But there's definitely been, in the past, adjustments on, like if there was earmarked for 8 locations for multi-hulls, which obviously take up a huge amount of space.
Right.
And year after year, they only sold 2 multi-hulls in that spot. They reallocated some of those multi-hull locations for mediums, like sunfish or something like that, because there was a huge desire to have sunfishes and no desire to have catamarans. Again, sort of a, all right, let's see. So if there's an issue with allocation or reallocation, I'd love to have a discussion about that. On anybody who feels like they have a good idea about it. And if there's an issue with a conflicting use, then that's probably a broader conversation, right? We need to balance that somehow. Somebody.
I mean, we're talking about the racks and all that stuff and
All of that.
all that stuff is recent.
Yeah, I mean,
You know,
ultimately, it just came.
it just came
Just passed in
In the
like
last 3 or 4 years.
2017 or, no, it's longer than that.
Is it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's been a-
2018 is the oldest paperwork that I've seen, maybe 2017.
Got to add 3 years for COVID.
So, and if you'll recall, they were, right, yeah, that's true, they were originally multi-year permits, they were 2-year permits. And then somewhere along the line, they switched to 1-year permits, the price I think stayed the same. And then,
That's when all the fees got changed.
Yes.
maybe, right, yeah. So the long and short of that is happy to discuss it with anybody, happy to let anybody do it. If you guys want it, it's all yours.
No, you're doing a great job.
So yeah, if they have questions, they should start with me.
All right. Motion to adjourn?
So.
All right. Second. Good night. Thank you.
What do you think?